So we'll pursue the program in the agenda of the third day of our summit. We'll have a most interesting discussion in which we will try to attain a 360 degrees approach on the role of digital technologies in Greece for an inclusive and sustainable future, as is the title of our summit. We have the joy and honor to host Mr. Apostolos Leonidhopoulos, who is the Managing Director of Kyndryl of Greece for Greece and Cyprus. We have Mr. Michalis Kassimiotis, who is Managing Director of Hewlett Packard Enterprise for Greece and Cyprus. We also have Mr. Frank Zervos, Solution Engineering Director for Greece, Bulgaria, Cyprus, and Malta from Oracle. And next to me, I have Mr. Yannis Papatsiros, Regional Leader of SAS, Greece, Cyprus, and Bulgaria. It is a great joy to have you with us, gentlemen. Let us have a round table. I have certain questions prepared to be discussed, and we will have an open discussion if you so like. So the question I start with, and I believe that expresses you, is that you are companies with a great global footprint and wonderful good cases all over the world. Therefore, knowing the axis of the development paradigm of our country, focusing especially on digital transformation, to what extent do you believe that your company can contribute or already contributes in that? Let me start with Mr. Leonidhopoulos and also congratulate him because Kyndryl is a brand new company that was born from IBM. Let me say a couple of words about Kyndryl because many people may not know the name. It is a newly founded company with a history of 1 month or 45 days. It has become from IBM. It was cut out of IBM. It is a company starting its course, newly found, but with 90,000 employees all over the world, 4,000 clients, amongst them the 75 out of the 100 biggest Fortune companies and half of the 500 Forbes list companies. Our aim is to plan and support and manage the technological infrastructure upon which companies are based, technological infrastructure on which global economy is based, I dare say. We say that we are in the heart of progress, in the heart of economy. It may sound very cocky, perhaps, or an exaggeration, but having said that we actually, all those clients have put their trust in us to run their infrastructure and therefore manage a huge part of their critical infrastructure, all that entails that we are behind what is the engine of the world economy. Well, you start very dynamically and with a very strong basis, so we wish you every success. So how do you view Kyndryl contributing in this growth paradigm, new growth paradigm of Greece? Well, having defined what is Kyndryl and what it does, it was cut off because IBM wanted to further extend these services and more freely towards all innovative technologies, which might be of competitors, or perhaps there was a difficulty for IBM to expand into that. Therefore, I consider being the biggest infrastructure service supplier company, we will be obviously a catalyst and assistant to the digital transformation at a global scale and, of course, in Greece as well. Therefore, we can contribute almost on all axes, or perhaps in most cases, not only in the foreground, but also in the background. I can't see anything excluding us. We accelerate, therefore, progress. This is our goal. Our specialty is innovation in large scale. Therefore, on these two basic characteristics, I believe that we can be behind the development in Greece as well, in the areas where we're active at large. Therefore, we're active at cloud, more enterprise, which is the traditional support of infrastructure, our basic DNA, if you like, digital workplace, as well as data application and AI and security and internet working, Internet of Things. All that concerns our plan. Fine. I give now the floor to Mr. Kassimiotis. Dear Michalis, same question addressed to you. I believe that the HP is a huge enterprise with many projects all over the world. So how do you view, or what specific access? I'm certain that all of you companies covers huge spectrum, but definitely you have some expertise, specific sectors where you could be more effective in your contribution. Now, first of all, let me wish the best of success and travel to Kyndryl, our new member in the Greek reality. So, and as one more representative from the digital world and a Marshall Plan on digital regeneration of Greece, for which I believe we will have the last great chance, not merely to converge the EU average, but also exceed in many layers, in many fields, as we have proven to date with regard to our performance, that we have exceeded the EU average in certain fields. I believe that this as if we are playing in-house, because as companies representing digital technology, we have all those tools at our disposal through which whatever we say on digitization of economy to become reality. I believe that at the center of our effort is nothing else but use data and contribute to the quick growth of Greek economy, which will be developed anyway on the capacity of the country to absorb and assimilate digital maturation on the field. This is interpreted and translated to specific actions, most importantly on how we'll make digital technology accessible to as big a number and fields of Greek economy. For instance, in RRF, there's a huge field concerning SMEs, because big companies have already got their pace, even during the 10-year crisis, made their heavy investments. But we must help broadly the convergence of this digital gap that has been created during the previous years, because the big became even bigger and more strong, but the weaker shrunk furthermore and seek ways. Therefore, it is our duty to make technology accessible to all. And I consider one of the ways we can improve the performances of machine learning, AI, and actually get insights through the data is to offer technology as easily absorbed as in a more easy way to larger parts of the populations. This, we have it through our HP cloud access. Any technological feat of the company can offer it in the form of a service. And through this approach, we make technology accessible to all. This is a major issue, Michalis, you touched upon, because indeed, during the summit, we touched upon RRF from the viewpoint on how SMEs may benefit. Because, of course, big companies have found their pace. The point is what happens with SMEs. It's only technology that can help them make this leap forward. Let me give the floor to our internet partner in this discussion, Mr. Zervos. I address you the same question and to Oracle with a long presence in Greece. What is your view, Mr. Zervos? Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the panelists. Good afternoon to all those attending the conference, either in physical presence or through their screens. It is well known for many years, Mr. Spirtounias, that we contribute to the digital transition of public administration and companies by participating in in key and important projects touching upon the daily lives of the citizens in fields such as the cadastre, taxation, the citizens registry, the customs. Anyway, we have a strong presence almost in all major data centers of the country. We also contribute in the transformation of the banking sector for many years through the effort they make to absorb and assimilate the emerging digital technologies with a view to having a client-based service. And I believe that in this part, this is a good opportunity, since it was mentioned, the RRF, the resources, the funds from this RRF, on one hand, can help so as to have leaps in e-governance, as well as be invested in a way for those core applications of the public administration to be modernized. And we are here to help in that. Without, however, ignoring certain axes, let me refer to two specific fields, the field of health and the field of tourism. With regard to health, we already have contributed heavily through technology and applications. I remind you our participation in e-prescription work, recently in the implementation of My Health app. Furthermore, in order to be able to offer systems and solutions in the field of health, we invest having a special global unit exclusively for health that has as a mission the development of new silo applications on the fields of interoperability of the information systems for the healthcare, such as the Master Basin Index, data warehouse and analytics, and the systems for pandemic response, as the one that was developed during this pandemic, which integrates a series of interoperability capacities that help in managing pandemic crisis and entailing impact. We follow suit and monitor closely the evolutions in the field, and we are ready to help in the further digital transformation of public health in Greece. Similarly to health, we also invest in tourism, and I mentioned that merely to underscore, tourist companies are not of the size and scale of companies that we address usually all those years. Now we can also address a number of smaller companies developing vertical solutions on the operation of hotels, casinos, restaurants, cruises, with a view to offering qualitative services and unique services to their customers. So these are the fields that we believe that we can actively and effectively contribute in. Let me say here to those following us that the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce has an ICT committee where all big American technology companies are represented, are members there. 4 of them are already present here, and they represent 90% of the sector in Greece. Mr. Papatsiros, I will give the floor to you on the same question. I know that there is more or less an overlapping here, but it would be nice to hear from you, from your company, SAS, where do you view contributing to the development part of the country? You already do, but more specifically. So let me wish every success to Kyndryl. I've been a colleague working in IBM myself at past. In SAS, we contribute in analytics and AI. Therefore, our viewpoint has to do with focusing on placing AI at the disposal of the government so as to offer services to the citizens with a higher satisfaction, automation services. The goal is to automate existing functions and operations and curtailing cost. And towards that, there are many examples. Let me say that many have said during the pandemic where there have been cases SAS has involvement in 650 governments. Therefore, there are a lot of accumulated case studies that we can use as knowledge and know-how. For instance, during the pandemic, we had cases where we used analytics so as to analyze how health systems can address the challenge that we deal with. Let me say that as far as economy is concerned, we have many applications For instance, how we can deal with a flagrant issue, which is tax fraud. There are also many cooperations in the field of public security, how we can enhance the feeling of safety, of security for the citizen. And there are many projects and cooperations in law and order courses all over the world. Thank you. I believe that this first round gave a spectrum of your company actions. Now, let us move to more specialized questions, more specific, having to do with the title of our summit. Climate change is here to stay. We all witness that. Therefore, technologies, and digital more specifically, can be the basis for the creation of effective tools for environmental protection, both in the prevention and fighting of various phenomena. Can you mention whether your companies are active in these fields? And practically speaking, out of your global presence, what other initiatives have you taken so as for the chain of the SMEs you cooperate with to contribute in reducing the environmental footprint, as your companies obviously do internally? So let us start again. Please be brief in answer so as to make more questions. I will be brief. As we said, we only date 1 month. Obviously, we have the intention to operate a responsible company at a global scale with a view to sustainability and a very low environmental footprint. But we are still at the stage of recording and planning. Actually, we now define our functional operational basis and those that regard our environmental footprint. And immediately afterwards, we will set the goals and the ways for the reduction of our footprint through the optimal and best procedures. One axis, therefore, is what we are to do within the company in Kyndryl, which I should say we have 450 data centers all over the world, one of which is based in Athens. Of these 450 data centers, is already dedicated in renewable energy sources. In 2018, it was 40%. So we're in this course, ascending course, obviously. We have already created in 2021 21 data centers exclusively focused on IS. But besides yours, because we manage infrastructure for clients' data centers, we're also next to our clients to help them both to record and to improve their own processes for reducing their footprint. This is what, well, that's not few, perfect. Mr. Kassimiotis, dear Michalis, let me start by what we do as a company. And it is quite impressive that our first involvement in climate change was 30 years ago, when we were the first, or amongst the very first in the field, who took care to calculate their environmental footprint on a scientific method. That was the first time that science-based target initiative was used. Ever since, a lot of water has gone down, and if we do not take care, we will be creating digital residues for the future, and we don't want that, and we will have burnt a lot of oxygen. All this culture as a company and the goals you have set, that is zero CO2 emissions, zero pollutant emissions by 2050, and 50% to have attained that by 2025, which is tomorrow. This has been passed down to our supply chain as well, because we have seen that 80% of our pollutants come from our suppliers. Therefore, we take care for our suppliers to observe the same standards so as to be members of our ecosystem that offers the technology production we put at the disposal of our clients. This regards what we do as a company. Obviously, we do the same and try to emit the same signal to our customers. Here, I should mention that due to the well-targeted buyouts, such Silicon Graphic, Gray, that is, companies that were specialized in high-performance computing, this is the basis so as to support many of our paradigms, models, initiatives on environmental change. The Lumi Center in Finland is the center of the European Union for managing climate change. The main goal is to create a digital twin of the planet and calculate every impact of every single human activity on the environment. This demonstrates what science can offer, because through this center, trillions of data created by human activity can now be calculated, being introduced in a model and give an answer to this critical problem. Very important. Let us not forget that data, information, is the basis for decision-making process, for statistics, for everything. It is the basis for high-caliber decision-making process. Mr. Zervos, what does Oracle have to offer on the subject? What do you do? What do you do? Well, there are many things. I don't know where to start. First of all, we have committed ourselves and developed practices and products that contribute to the protection of the environment. And we view sustainability as a natural extension of our business activities. And we deal with these challenges with solutions that can be easily integrated in our basic business activities. We have a dual focus, as you said, internally in initiatives supporting our goals. Our goals internally start from using renewable energy sources 100% for the operation of Oracle Cloud Centers, for instance, until we reduce the consumption of water and residues in our branches all over the world. The solutions we have cover all aspects of information. The cloud and business activity. Those solutions help our customers reduce the environmental footprint, but also be effective as far as cost is concerned. Technologies such as Internet of Things, AI, big data, and blockchain that support data collection at real time can help us make holistic decisions that regard environmental impact. Many of our clients use Oracle solutions to make the difference, amongst them in the fields of sustainability and climate change that you mentioned. Nice. I see. Now, Mr. Papatsiros, what does SAS do on the subject? We were first interested internally on climate change, on how we'll be able to contribute through AI. So in the campus, on our headquarters, all the energy is offered through a huge photovoltaic park, which is being sustained and supported through AI. Everything is automated. After having developed that technology, you have made a lot of projects with clients towards this direction, how we'll be able to use IS on the optimal way. Many applications on how we can make the difference. And also a work done with Microsoft and the American government 2020 that was awarded of Global Prize, where through the collection of data certain centers and projection. Beyond these applications, there's great interest all over the world on how we can draw the scenario so as to have the organizations ready, especially with regard to the financial institutions, so as to be ready if such a threat appears. This as far as our application. You know, we will shortly have the Minister of Civil Protection in our agenda. And we'll have a new plan introduced. That's why I launched this discussion, because I want to demonstrate that there are discussions, technologies, practices that we can adopt so as to prevent natural disasters. Now, let us shift to another subject. I have been hearing how can we do it? Where are we to base an educational system, remuneration system, or a different perception vis-à-vis the youth? It's been heard everywhere that we can't find the appropriate skills, we can't find the appropriate and talented human resources. What can be done on the subject? And so I raised the question whether you are to recruit or whether you are going to have cooperation with the universities, how we can create, we can have children turn to STEM and focus on that. I'll start with you, Mr. Leonidhopoulos. You are a new company, but let us not forget, you said you come from a very age-long company. Listen, the lack of human resources with the appropriate skills is not a Greek phenomenon. It is a global phenomenon in the field of digital transformation. One of the major challenges companies are faced with, those that want to have this digital transformation, is to find the appropriate human resources, properly skilled, so as to implement this digital transformation at the speed they wish. This is one of the fields we want to help. But of course, in order to help, we must also have the appropriate human resources. I consider that we have excellent raw material in Greece. We have the example of Greek teams in Kyndryl, which were in the IBM and now are here with us, who run various projects for Kyndryl at a global scale for all countries, and the quality of Greek scientists is broadly acknowledged, not only by our company, but by the ultimate client as well. But of course, we all say that we still find it difficult even now. We have started recruiting already in the first month of our operation. We have approximately 10 open jobs and 3 in Cyprus. This is the challenge. So we start cooperations with universities and students, alumni, and associations. Our planning is to find the appropriate youth with the appropriate characteristics. Without them being ready, they will never be ready 100%, and then we will invest in them, because the main pillar of investment in Kyndryl is human resources and their training. We don't have labs, we don't have anything else to invest in. We want to invest in training that people in all the necessary skills. This is our strategy, I would say, in the field, trying to deal with this problem. Mr. Kassimiotis, we have discussed between us this subject, and you have certain views on the subject. Yes, that's true. This is a very hot topic, and after having acknowledged its existence, the existence of the problem, we must analyze the origins. I believe the problem was exacerbated during the last decade, not only due to the MOUs, the 10 years of fiscal austerity, but also and mainly due to the fact that competition now in a globalized arena is everywhere and omnipresent. In combination with the tax and social security background in Greece makes the involvement of Greek youngsters in the Greek labor market far less attractive than abroad. I believe that to a large extent, this problem has been acknowledged by the official state, and there is an effort to offer incentives. This effort must be intensified because this is what should focus upon in the short term. But for a long term, we should focus in reshaping the educational system and the opening, which theoretically we discuss, but must become a reality. I believe that all companies have every reason to have their doors open. And for many years, we have been knocking on a door that would not open. Now it's the right time that we have it half open. And given that all, you mean the institutions, the universities, precisely. Universities were not willing to cooperate with us, but all companies still have the same feeling of duty and offer. I will merely refer to an initiative that we launched before the pandemic. It's still open, but was not developed, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. We brought all the universities in the company in a paradigm data center. So all youngsters from the Polytechnic, from the university, when they wanted to have infrastructure for large-scale modeling, to make use of those infrastructure, at the same time come in contact with specialized scientists, youngsters that used to be students as them and currently work in our company, so as to have this interpersonal and on-the-job experience of young people, so as for them to know what is coming and be as well prepared as possible when they come to the labor market. So we should focus on that. And at the same time, our goals should be far more ambitious. We did a lot and demonstrated we can do far more. So when we take services from hubs, from countries around us, maintaining the appetite to create specialized services, high specialization material, through which we will be able to serve other countries. And this is the direction we're working towards too. Mr. Zervos, what do you do as Oracle? How do you view the subject? Let me say, first of all, that we are more or less fortunate in that, because due to our brand, we attract easily, relatively speaking, human resources, especially youngsters who will see a large and long career path through the company, the interesting subject, but also equally important, the excellent working conditions. Truth is that in some cases over the last years, we have to look a little bit more in order to find the skills that we search for. I believe that the most important reason for that, at least for us, which is something that has not been mentioned until now, is that due to the financial crisis, we missed the large-scale demanding projects through which we develop and demonstrate skills and attitudes. This is, we believe, the primary reason why there is such a lack. Of course, to an extent, all the other reasons that you mentioned are valid, but as far as we are concerned, we deal with them more easily. For instance, in the case of universities and how well they prepare their students to enter the labor market, it is well known that many schools, many faculties are very late in tuning their curriculum to what the labor market asks, but this can be dealt either by building the profile of the new recruits as we wish, through the Oracle University, which is the training department that Oracle has all over the world, or by promoting in universities, promoting programs such as Oracle Academy, through which we offer free access to Oracle Cloud, Oracle Economist database, and also computing virtual machines and other tools, so as for the professors and students to learn and explore in cloud, so as to better prepare for the market. Now, on the issues of remuneration, it is true there is a disruption since the remuneration models have been changing lately, but we are definitely in place to be sufficiently competitive so as to attract and retain the talent desired in our company. Yes, you mentioned the issue of lack of projects, but of course, in the last period, we have a huge volume of projects, of digital projects in the pipeline. So especially with the RRF, we hope that these projects will be further enhanced, that will create all the prerequisites that you asked for. Yes, definitely. The result we see is, of course, due to the previous decade. In the next decade, things will be even better. Yes, we only wish for that. What do you say, Mr. Papatsiros, on the subject? What is your view? Listen, in SAS, we saw that although technology development was quick, the issue of skills gap and needs for reskilling was exacerbated. How are we to update the knowledge and have specialized personnel so as to offer these new technologies? I would also like to add that teleworking is a very important subject. Because if someone work in teleworking, why not opt for another place, in other conditions, a different taxation? We saw that on time, and in cooperation with SEF, we established an academy where SAS offered software, state-of-the-art, curriculum, real-life examples, and case studies. Therefore, the students have access to operate on real case studies of the business world. And because we did it quite early, we had recently the first year of alumni who, through SEV, that is the Greek Industrial Association, will be placed in companies so as to nurture the culture of this technology. We saw the subject. Thank you. I know that serious efforts are made with regard to this subject for each company in cooperation with the academia and education through services or projects, and this is indeed needed. And the warmest congratulations. Let me take you to another question. Could you please address it briefly? Well, first of all, you represent huge American groups. How do your headquarters view the increased business activity in digital technology in Greece? Do you plan an extension of your actions in Greece? And what is needed to attain that? Let me start with you. Although you are a new company, you definitely have a view on that. First of all, let me say this development is not a Greek phenomenon, it's a global one. We are a bit behind. So in this development, the main planning of Kyndryl's strategy is based. I would say that this is the reason of, that is why we were cut off from IBM, because we saw the deficiencies that are created in our customers and global market. As well as in Greece, all Greek companies proceed to their digital transformation. But as we said beforehand, this has gaps. There are two main challenges. Managing the technology infrastructure, supporting digital transformation, where one might say that they are simplified through cloud, but until they are simplified through cloud, they coexist in a hybrid environment and even more challenging, and there are huge safety, security, and disponibility challenges. Therefore, the organizations have all the more difficult infrastructure to handle. At the same time, there's a lack of human resources. So obviously, our headquarters that you mentioned, and this development will come along to Kyndryl through cooperations, as I said at the beginning, with all the companies of the state as independent Kyndryl. In the first week of autonomous existence, we announced strategic alliance and cooperation with Microsoft, a little bit later with SAP, and others will come along. What we want to implement at local level and emit the appropriate signal that we are here to help this development through any technology available. Dear Michalis, HP, does HP headquarters see Greece as a field of opportunity for further expansion? HP headquarters sees what we feed it. Therefore, it is our duty to make Greece as alluring as possible so as to attract their appetite. This is our goal. Greece and Cyprus is member of the Administrative Board of Southern Europe, adding Israel. And that makes the equation even more interesting. Therefore, through Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Israel, we are a cluster, a bouquet of countries, which, due to the European evolutions, there's a major interest. What is even more nice is that this region was awarded yesterday as the most promising region, taking one of the two first-ranking positions at the global scale. Since we are not the biggest, because compared to markets as that of Spain or Italy, which are multifold to our potential, we are the most clever. We have to be the most ingenious. So if we can't do bigger things, we must do things big enough for us, but clever enough so as to be modelized and be copy-pasted by other countries. And we have many such examples. Mr. Zervos mentioned the part of hospitality beforehand. We are one of the companies which, due to our technologies, we have developed the Center of Excellence of Southern Europe in this subject, with the presentation of the 100 biggest chains. And our intention is to make this tangible and attractive for smaller companies as well, offering that as a form of service. So I believe that even representing a small country, one can have big plans, make smart moves, and through this become a member of a broader reality. So our intention will be again here for the next 40 years and far more numerous and nice and pretty solutions that we have ahead. We only wish for that with all our heart and joy to see all that. Well, I won't be here. I won't be here. I will be retired. I will not be here for the next 100 years. Anyway, we'll leave you that and you'll be glad. Yes. Mr. Zervos. Well, our companies, being multinationals, and amongst the technological moguls, I would say, of course, follow suit closely and assess evolutions, not only in Greece, but in any country with the perspective of important development. And as Mr. Kassimiotis has said, it is the duty of us, an obligation, to demonstrate, each one for one's own country, the important and positive steps made, and how the company can further develop in each country. And from this viewpoint, we view this effort of the government most positive for the country to become a a hub for high technology investments. We're amongst the first that had our branch in Greece 33 years ago, which actually is a hub for the broader area of the Balkans and the Middle East. Having half of the employees involved with projects abroad. Therefore, Oracle, once established in Greece, invests heavily in the human resource of the country. Furthermore, have already expanded our activities through a cloud center, offering support to the clients of Oracle Cloud with a security hub that develops solutions for cyber security and data protection for all the countries of Southeastern Europe, Middle East, and Northern Africa. From this viewpoint, therefore, we continuously try to expand our activities. The only thing we want is what we said beforehand. We want indeed the country to make steps ahead with consistency and stability, so as to easily justify whatever we ask from the mother company. Yes, this is our wish, of course. And you actually give me the opportunity to say something else. During those years of the financial crisis, companies such as yours maintained their potential, their dynamism, even enhanced it. And this is thanks to you as CEOs, as personalities, and this has to be acknowledged, that companies maintained their power or even increased it, and this is because of the dynamism of executives as you, and I have to congratulate you all, and I express the views of many people. Mr. Papatsiros, on this last question? Well, I'll dwell on what Costa said beforehand, that there's a good intention vis-à-vis the universities, but also to executives. Let me characteristically say that all the executives of the management team of my office have leading roles in the broader region, and they're all Greeks from Greek universities, so there is this acknowledgement. Our consultants export know-how to other countries, not because we offer cheap human resources, but because they are experts, market experts, and we are proud for that. And the next step is to create the respective excellence centers. For instance, we have established 14 fraud centers. We export know-how, and we will be creating a center for dealing with fraud for all the Southeastern Europe, based here in Greece. This is amongst our plans, and other fields with similar know-how. Nice, nice. So the next question, not very much time. We should be a little bit. Let's talk about startup entrepreneurship. This is a rapidly developing sector in our country, and you being such companies, you enhance this ecosystem. So I would like each one of you, I know the answer more or less, but you know, Mr. Leonidhopoulos, you have the prerogative because you have a large experience. How do you view startup entrepreneurship, and how can you contribute in further nurturing it? Well, in some cases, I feel like the old politicians that would say, yeah, we will do this, we will do the other, and so forth. Yes, promises, promises, promises. Anyway, first of all, again, the main pillar of Kyndryl strategy is the cooperation with the ecosystem of the IT companies, of course, including their startups and such kind of companies. Another important thing, since we speak about Greece, is that our operation paradigm has lowered its center of gravity and wants decisions to be made close to the client, therefore on the country. That's why we were cut off from IBM. So it's not a cooperation strategy starting from New York, although there are such kind of cooperations, but we can also, and very well, and we will be able in Kyndryl to cooperate with any company, be it startup or a bigger one. And this helps us offering great value. and integrate innovative applications. Although we are brand new, we already have an example of that. A big insurance company in Greece has integrated innovative technologies by Kyndryl so as to offer in car policies to offer charging depending on the use. And this is because of the technological solution we have offered to the client. This we want to expand as independent Kyndryl. It's easier to do so. And we want to expand it to other fields and wherever we see, either us or our customer, that this has a value. Mr. Kassimiotis. Well, it will be a twofold answer. The first refers to the global program Pathfinder. What it does, this program, it monitors startups all over the world and select those which have relative material to the company strategy. At first stage, it invests in them, doesn't absorb them. If we see that such a company can contribute to the strategy of the company, at the second stage, there might be integration. So the first move was to make this program, to open the program in Greece. The second axis of my answer is what we do with all the other forms of startups and how we support them. This can be addressed through our participation ecosystems, through which we try to do what I said originally, that is make our technology, be it involved with infrastructure, be it with new software tools or intelligent, and to make our technology accessible to all those new companies. And this we can attain through the cooperations and ecosystems we participate, through initiatives in which we believe that we have room to offer what I mentioned. Therefore, these axes give the answer to your question. Yes, Mr. Zervos, do you support startups in Oracle? Yes, of course, we are active in supporting this startup ecosystem all over the world through the program Oracle for Startups, which has been fervently adopted in Greece and we have been promoting over the last years. This program is a totally free process supporting startups with a view to developing of products of services, their networking through clients, and their promotion. The participating companies gain access to exclusive rebates through this program for the use of the cloud services of Oracle, for guidance through mentors with international experience, contacts with venture capitals, and other well-targeted promotional activities. Let me point out that in Greece, we're amongst the sponsors and supporters of the first startup companies prize through the program Elevate Greece, and at the same time have been supporting and still support actions of the European Institute of Innovation Technology, the Packard Scientific Park. And in conclusion, let me say that for the companies participating in the program, we do not claim any share from the EBITDA. The participation is absolutely free of charge. Just entering an internet site and expressing one's interest, one can have this support. Mr. Papatsiros, us, US SAS, well, we have visioned an open ecosystem of new technologies where startups play a very important role. We want, therefore, to be not merely a company contributing through technology, but is a catalyst in this ecosystem. And therefore, every user, depending on the technology desired, ours or Python or whatever, will not merely have access, but also will better perform on the ecosystem of SAS. This will definitely accelerate things. And let me give you an example. We do not merely want to say that I'll be selecting this algorithm because it responds better to this technology so as to solve a business problem. But depending on the business problem, I will be selecting the algorithm, regardless of the technology. This is our vision and definitely helps in accelerating the digital transformation through the startups. Yeah, I see. I believe that we reached the end of this discussion. I wanted to offer the opportunity to all of us attending now to understand what your companies offer here in the country, how much they contribute in all fields and layers. I believe that this has been understood through the discussion. Warmest congratulations for your companies, and we wish the best, not only to Kyndryl, that is newly founded, but to all of you. Whatever you have said and promised, we hope that will be implemented, corroborated as soon as possible. Thank you for being with us, and we move ahead with our agenda.